This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome to our show today. It is Monday, January 4th, 2021, the first show of the new year. And I hope you all had a nice New Year's holiday. We had some fireworks going off around here. Other than that, people are staying away. Apparently, COVID numbers here are rising. We're back in category red regarding mandatory masks and social distancing and all the rest of it. So it continues to be a kind of a nightmare scenario over here. Anyway, Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials, keeping us out of trouble. And we're going to do what we normally do on these shows, which is I'm going to do news until I run out of news. Then we'll open up the phone lines for your comments, questions, observations, and opinions here. To start the new year with a little bit of good news, a judge in Britain ruled that Julian Assange cannot be extradited to the United States. And apparently the judge pointed to the brutal prison conditions in the United States as one of the factors that led to that decision. Now, the United States can appeal, of course, but as of right now, last I've heard, Assange is actually free. He's been released from Belmarsh prison. I'm sure he's being treated as a hero by a lot of people over there. And whether he can, he probably still can't come back to the United States or any place the U.S. has an extradition treaty with unless President Trump pardons him, which I would seriously hope that Trump would do, both for Assange and for Snowden here. All right, the new Congress was sworn in yesterday, and it was interesting. Even Fox News was covering this. None of them were following social distancing. Some didn't even have masks here. And so it kind of makes a joke about this story from Politico that worries about COVID overshadow the first day of the new Congress. Well, I don't think they were that worried. Nancy Pelosi secured her fourth term as Speaker of the House, and it was a razor-thin vote. And apparently some Democrats who'd been exposed to COVID and were supposed to be on quarantine broke that quarantine to vote for her. And yeah, politics supersedes health here. Now, I'm not sure what this means, but Kamala Harris was sworn in as a U.S. Senator yesterday. And maybe she's hedging her bets, but she is still officially a senator. And at some point, she's going to have to step down. And they've already lined up a replacement for her as well. Now, Congress has approved new rules regulating the January 6th electoral vote count. And the rules were passed without recorded votes. It was a voice vote used in both chambers. Kind of makes you what they're hiding, what they don't want to have their names attached to. Anyway, the new rules say the chambers will meet in a joint session on Wednesday, presided over by Vice President Mike Pence. Pence, as the president of the Senate, will open all the certificates and papers purporting to be certificates of the electoral votes. Now, this is apparently a nod to how 7 states sent competing electors or certificates for both Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and President Donald Trump to Washington. They still have to sort that mess out. And all the certificates and papers will be opened, presented, and acted upon in alphabetical order, starting with Alabama. Now, according to Meadows, pardon me, over 100 House members are now planning to object to the electoral votes. And apparently a dozen senators are already on board, ready to stand up for election integrity and object to certification. Now, they don't really have enough to force a new vote or to force it into the House of Representatives, but it's growing. We could see a lot more people sign on today and tomorrow, and even as late as Wednesday morning here. Now, Ted Cruz is leading the GOP effort to refuse Electoral College certification and has demanded an emergency audit of the results in the battleground states where so much evidence of election fraud has surfaced. And, they're out there saying voter fraud has posed a persistent challenge in the elections. And Republican lawmakers said Congress should establish an electoral commission to investigate alleged election fraud and conduct an emergency audit of the election results, which is estimated to take 10 days. Now, unfortunately, we all remember back in 2016 when Donald Trump was running for the presidency and he promised he was going to clean up the election system and he didn't. And so, Donald, I'm sorry, but what you're dealing with right now is the result of your failure to address what is probably the biggest single problem in the country right now, that the American people have lost control over their government. And the government is now free to do whatever they want, raise taxes however they want, limit your freedoms more than they want, because they're not afraid the voters will remove them from office. Now, interestingly enough, there is a report that Joe Biden has canceled the inaugural parade. And the official reason is they don't want to expose people to COVID-19. But apparently there is concern it will turn into a massive rally for Donald Trump. And it very well might. There's going to be a huge rally Wednesday. And Alex Jones is going to be there. John Stadmiller is already on his way over there as well. There are estimates as many as 4 million people are going to show up. There's a report that Antifa is being bussed in to cause as much ruckus as they can with the Trump supporters. So it's getting really, really ugly here. Now, a new video has surfaced showing Dominion's Dr. Eric Coomer admitting their voting machines are wireless and they support all networks. They can and do connect to the internet. Now, he testified the other day that that was absolutely impossible, but too many witnesses came forward saying, no, they'd seen evidence to the contrary. Let's see, another little video. This is over at stationgossip.com. Data scientists testified that 17,650 votes were switched from Trump to Biden in Georgia. Corporate media is ignoring it. They're still out there saying that there's no evidence. There's no evidence out there that there was any kind of election fraud. I mean, the courts have looked at it. No, the courts haven't looked at it. They've used every kind of evasive tactic they can to not get the evidence shown in a court of law. Now, other data scientists are looking at the election results from Pennsylvania, and they are showing 432,000 votes were removed from Donald Trump during the November election. And apparently time series election data shows Trump's votes decreasing in various counties at numerous time points. Now, maybe they could stay the same, but they can't decrease unless somebody is erasing the votes there. And apparently the removals happened in at least 15 counties, including Lehigh County, Chester County, Allegheny County, Armstrong County, Westmoreland County, Northampton County, Delaware County, Montgomery County, Lackawanna County, Dauphin County, Pike County, Carbon County, Washington County, Erie County, and Luzerne County. So it was definitely widespread. This was an organized vote theft, coordinated across the entire nation. Over in Arizona, there's a citizens group is looking at their election there. They turned up thousands of fake voters, saying that as many as 30% of the addresses on the ballots were fake. It was a monumental steal, the biggest in U.S. history, in my opinion, here. All righty. Now, another story. This is coming from the Epic Times. More than 400 ex-intelligence officers are going to investigate election irregularities in the 2020 election. Now, Robert Caron, one of the organizers of the network, began his career with CIA, later worked for Special Situation Group, that was created by George Herbert Walker Bush, that includes strategic planning, technologies, foreign and domestic investigations. And he was recruited to the network in 2014, during which time many in the intelligence community were seeing an increase in improper operations. And many IC officers were withholding information from their leaders, and their leaders were withholding information from the public. So they've been stealing elections for a long time. They tried to steal it in 2016. That's why they hated Trump so much. He actually beat the election fraud machine here. Okay, a 6-person team, including Rudy Giuliani and Peter Navarro, briefed hundreds of state lawmakers about the evidence of election irregularities during a Saturday video meeting, and it included legislators from Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. This was in an interview on Fox News. And Navarro said these legislators, they're hot, they're angry, they want action. And basically laid out, how the Democratic Party stole the election from Donald Trump. Okay, pardon me. Over in Nevada, a journalist has found that the state's signature verification process for mail-in ballots has an 89% failure rate, raising concerns regarding the strength of Nevada's anti-fraud security measures. Now, this is Victor Joix, a columnist for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, conducted an experiment that found the staggeringly high failure rate. Now, according to Nevada state law, all mail-in ballots must have the signature of the voter on the ballot return envelope. The signature is used to authenticate the voter and confirm that it was actually the voter and not another person who returned the mail-in ballot. 89% failure rate. That is really, really something here. Senator Louis Gohmert suggested that Republicans need to be as violent as Antifa and Black Lives Matter after U.S. District Judge Jeremy Kernodle tossed out his lawsuit that argued Vice President Mike Pence has the authority to unilaterally overturn the 2020 election results based on the widespread claims of fraud in several states. And the judge tossed it on out there. Bloomberg described Antifa as a loosely aligned movement that opposes fascism, even though they use fascistic tactics here. Now, Gohmert has since backpedaled on this and said he wasn't trying to encourage violence. But it does seem to be on everybody's mind right now, which is scaring the daylights out of me here. All 10 living former secretaries of defense have delivered a warning to President Trump in an op-ed denouncing the possibility of the military becoming involved in the current election dispute. And there must be something going on where they think that is a real possibility. But I'll be very honest, the batteries died in my crystal ball, and I really don't have a grasp on what's going to be happening these next few weeks here in January. Now, as I mentioned before, on Wednesday, there's going to be this multi-million person mega march and protest in D.C. And this article in State of the Nation is saying that you need to be aware of agents provocateur, because the Democratic Party and the corporate media are going to do everything they can to make the protest in support of Donald Trump look bad to the American people. And agent provocateurs are very common. As I mentioned before, they're bussing in Antifa activists, and they're concerned that there could actually be a major protest on the 20th. So we'll see what happens on that. There could well be, there's a lot of angry people out there. Now, Lynn Wood, is digging at the evil, so to speak, here, and he basically came on out with a story, an accusation actually, saying that the majority of the world's politicians are controlled by pedophile extortion and blackmail schemes, ensnaring top influencers like Justice Roberts, who we know at the last minute flipped on Obamacare. And this is a big part of what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, you know, luring people to his little island, letting them have their way with these underage girls. And we now know that entire place was wired with microphones and cameras. And how any politician could be so idiotic is to engage in that kind of behavior and not expect to be recorded by it. It's just amazing here. And according to tweets from Lynn Wood, Chief Justice Roberts and a multitude of powerful individuals are being blackmailed in a horrendous scheme involving rape and murder of children captured on videotape. And he says this is why Chief Justice Roberts continues to issue decisions that seem contrary to the common good of the American people. Over at Walmart, in between telling everybody that they have to be wearing their masks, apparently Walmart has a staff that handles their Twitter account here. Apparently when Senator Josh Hawley announced that he was going to oppose the electors on Wednesday, somebody at Walmart tweeted out that Hawley was a sore loser and said, go ahead, get your 2-hour debate. And apparently Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar also responded with hate, calling Hawley's announcement a coup attempt. Well, no, the coup attempt is already underway here. Walmart is trying to apologize for that here. Hawley himself responded with a little bit of sarcasm, thanking Walmart for its insulting condescension, saying, now that you've insulted 75 million Americans, will you at least apologize for using slave labor? So, game, set, and match to Hawley, I think, here. Senator Ted Cruz has deemed Google the most dangerous company on the face of the planet during an interview with Breitbart News following a campaign event Saturday for the Georgia Senate runoff election. Cruz, who's been one of the most outspoken senators against big tech, outlined his issues with Google, Twitter, and Facebook as they relate to the company's interference in America's elections. Now, remember back when Zuckerberg was testifying before Congress and said that we don't choose sides in the election. Well, that appears to have been less than the honest truth here, because Facebook completely crushed a Republican advertising effort in the Georgia Senate runoffs days before the election. They shut down websites, fundraising websites for the candidates. They shut down the ads. And Facebook is now saying it was a technical error due to the automated system. And if you believe that one, I have some of Saddam's nuclear weapons to sell you. Newt Gingrich, yesterday on New York's WABC radio, basically came on out and said that the corruption of social media, especially that of Zuckerberg, does raise legitimate questions about the legitimacy of the Biden presidency. And basically he's saying the Democrats focused on the election where Republicans focused on the campaign. The Democrats didn't care if Biden never campaigned, which he hardly ever did. They were going to generate votes and turn out votes, Gingrich said. And if you go around and look at state by state, the results are fascinating, and they raise real questions about exactly what happened. Well, we know what happened. It was grand theft election. All righty. Apparently, this is coming from Russia Today. A lawyer who worked under 2 Republican presidents is calling on Joe Biden to select Barack Obama as his attorney general to help reestablish the rule of law. and boost his administration's credibility among estranged voters. Good luck with that one. The problem with putting Barack Obama as Attorney General is it would literally put him on the path to eventually being nominated to the Supreme Court. Okay, we got to take a break for commercial. We'll be back with more news after these few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Working 2 jobs ends never seem to meet. She often goes hungry so her babies can't eat. Fatherless son wears torn clothes to school. We're making fun of him's the only golden rule. She doesn't know she's a favorite daughter. If someone wants to help her walk on water.
Welcome back to our show here. We actually have some deer out in our backyard, so it's kind of fun, wildlife around here. Friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network needs your continued support in 2021 so that we can go on speaking truth to power and keeping the public informed about what's going on for as long as the tyrants will let us. And once again, the postal address where you can send a check Money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And of course, all of this contact information is up at the top of republicbroadcasting.org. All right, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19. It's still definitely out there. And this story is from InfoWars. And Alex Jones is out there saying he's basically looking at this New York law that's being proposed that calls for the use of detention camps for people infected with COVID. And he's basically gluing that together with Joe Biden's call for a dark winter ahead, and saying that, you know, we could literally see internment camps for people who are accused of having COVID-19. With all these false positive tests, these camps are going to be very, very full. Story coming out of the Daily Mail here over in Portugal. A health worker, Sonia Acevedo, 41, suffered a sudden death at home on New Year's Day, just 48 hours after receiving the vaccine. They're still waiting for the results of the autopsy, and her father, Abilio Acevedo, is saying she was okay. She hadn't had any health problems whatsoever. Down in Mexico, pardon me, a physician who received the Pfizer vaccine was admitted to an intensive care unit with seizures, breathing difficulties, and possible encephalomyelitis. And the 32-year-old doctor, was admitted to the ICU, and they're wondering what was the cause of the adverse reaction here. We're getting these reports from all over, and I'll bet you probably we're not hearing all that they're out there. Story out of Natural News here, and we are already aware that the World Health Organization says there is actually no evidence that COVID-19 vaccines will prevent the spread of the disease. You can still get the vaccine, or still get the illness. You can still pass it on. They still want you to wear the masks and practice social distancing. So what good are these vaccines? Well, they say they'll reduce the symptoms. Well, if that's really what they're saying, it's not really a vaccine. It's a palliative treatment. You know, they're just treating the symptoms, you know, with this very dangerous, untested technology. Apparently, concern is, this is Daily Mail again, there is concern that the new coronavirus mutation found in South Africa may be immune to the current vaccines. But they're saying, stay calm, everything is going to be fine. Now, we've been hearing in the corporate media that this South African mutation is much more infectious than the earlier coronavirus. It's already been detected in 2 locations in Britain. It's been designated South African variant 501.V2. And they're saying it's got really substantial changes in the structure of the protein. There we are on that one. Another little article, this is from offguardian.org here, basically reminding us all that these vaccinations have not really passed full clinical trials. And, you know, a lot of people are confused about it because the corporate media, the medical industrial complex are out there saying, no, these are perfectly safe. We've tested them. But they really haven't. They haven't tested them long enough. And according to this article, if you decide to have Pfizer and BioNTech's experimental mRNA-based vaccine, or any other claimed vaccine for that matter, you are actually the test subject in a drug trial. That's a very scary proposition for a lot of people. Official report from Great Britain is saying that anyone taking any other medications should not get the Pfizer COVID vaccine. And this was apparently buried within a British government guidance report released to assist healthcare professionals in administering the vaccines. So again, that may be your excuse to not get the shot. I've got allergies. I'm on this and that medication here. Now, Fauci is saying that mandatory COVID vaccines are on the table, especially for things like travel and school. And Fauci is being slammed by after admitting to the New York Times, he publicly lowballed the estimate of the COVID-19 herd immunity threshold. We'll be back with more news after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
For over 20 years now, Extendivite has proven time and again it really works. Here is a testimonial from Amazon.com. I received an arterial switch at birth. In my mid-20s, I started getting slight runs of NSVT. Nothing too serious, but enough to cause worry. I started taking Extendivite a little over 2 years ago, and it helped cut the palpitations and NSVT down drastically. This isn't a cure-all supplement. I strongly recommend a good diet and exercise to aid in any heart troubles you may be having, and I strongly recommend giving Extendivite a try. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about COVID-19. And interestingly enough, Iran is cooperating with Cuba in producing their own COVID-19 vaccine. And this is an announcement from the Iranian Health Ministry last Friday. Iran will purchase vaccines from a foreign country and participates in the World Health Organization's COVAX program for receiving its vaccine quota. And apparently the Pasteur Institute of Iran is going to produce a COVID-19 vaccine in joint cooperation with a Cuban company, and tests and trials of Tehran Havana vaccine are already underway in Cuba right now. So great that they can work together like that. Now, this is kind of interesting. A lot of medical professionals are refusing the vaccination. We've heard of, the adverse effects here. There are a lot of people who seem to develop COVID symptoms after getting the vaccination. We're thinking that may be what happened to my doctor here. But apparently, and this is coming out of, let's see, 6abc.com. There's a nursing home in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. It's called Gracedale. And they are actually offering their employees a one-time payment of $750 to get the COVID-19 vaccine. And the reason they're doing this is Gracedale was among the long-term care facilities in Pennsylvania hit especially hard by the pandemic. The other reason is apparent concerns expressed by Gracedale employees regarding the vaccine's safety. So they are concerned about that. Okay, this was an interesting little article from Tap Newswire, and it's looking at some of the official, if you will, proclamations coming out of Moderna, where it describes their vaccine as an operating system. And basically, they're saying that this mRNA technology is a new basis for developing vaccines rapidly, meaning that they will start with a snippet of DNA and put it in there, and then the mRNA takes it into your body and converts it to a protein. I don't believe this technology has really been tested adequately, and nobody knows what the long-term consequences of this could be. I mean, this whole fast track thing, it's like if you don't drop dead immediately, then we're going to declare it safe here. The FDA is going to decide this week whether to cut the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine dose in half in order to speed distribution and make sure that everybody's getting at least some of the vaccine. Well, it kind of makes you wonder, how did they decide on what the dosage was in the first place if they can just say, we're going to cut it in half and everything is going to be fine. Out in California, there is a federal constitutional challenge to the vaccine mandates. It's been filed in court. The preliminary injunction hearing is set for late February. So they may be going after that as well. I mean, everybody's tired of the lockdowns, and the lockdowns don't really seem to help. They just copied what China was doing to try and get us used to having fewer civil liberties here. Now, interestingly enough, and this is out of blabber.buzz, there's an upscale Italian restaurant in Beverly Hills that attracts a celebrity clientele, and they invited a select group of their customers to a speakeasy-style New Year's Eve indoor dinner that, of course, violated the COVID-19 lockdown measures. This is the La Scala restaurant in Beverly Hills. I've been there myself. It's wonderful. And basically, they put at the headline, welcome back to the 1920s prohibition. And so, yeah, it's prohibition style behavior out there with all of these lockdowns. And if they ever take the lockdowns off, boy, is there going to be a party from coast to coast here. Some of the measures being taken by retailers to enforce their mask mandates really go beyond the pale. And this one has to do with a store called Winco Foods in Oregon. And apparently, there was an elderly woman who wanted to check out and wasn't wearing a mask. So they shut down, the self-checkout on her. Really, I mean, you got to be disinfecting that thing between customers anyway, or you should be. Here's another little interesting story, and this is coming out of the Liberty Beacon. We've been talking about how there's been this amazing plunge in the number of flu cases this year, which raised the possibility that flu deaths and flu cases are being misreported as COVID deaths and COVID cases because of the financial inducements that are out there to encourage this kind of behavior. But this article, points out something which most of you probably don't realize. Every year when they put out the flu vaccine, it is expected a certain number of people are going to die from it. Now, the number of flu vaccinations was about the same this year as it was last year, but they're not finding these expected mortalities. And so they're wondering if flu vaccine deaths are being recorded as COVID-19 deaths. Talk about cooking the books here. I mean, we're hearing stories about, like a guy who got ejected from a car was basically listed as dead of COVID-19. I mean, it's just really silly out there. This little bit of good news here. Remember when this whole COVID thing really cranked up and there was a shortage of hand sanitizers, and a bunch of distilleries actually set aside their making of whiskey and scotch and the rest of it in order to convert their alcohol production into hand sanitizers to get them into the public. And then last week, there was this announcement by the FDA that they were going to basically these distilleries for putting this product out. And basically, the Department of Health and Human Services said it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're not going to find these distilleries for trying to do the right things. A little bit of good news there. Okay, article from uns.com. Just where did COVID come from? They really haven't nailed that down. It's been accused on bats and a mutated bat virus, possible biological weapon, or maybe somebody made a mistake in a lab and accidentally created this thing. I think that's where the HIV came from. It was a byproduct, accidental byproduct of the African smallpox vaccination campaign. So, but they really haven't nailed it down. There's no evidence that COVID escaped from the Wuhan lab. There's indications that Americans took it to Wuhan during the military games there. A lot of questions. And as far as I understand, nobody yet has actually isolated the actual virus that supposedly causes COVID-19. Now, Congressman-elect Luke Letlow passed away from COVID at age 41. He was to be sworn in yesterday, and I assume that Louisiana sent a replacement. But yeah, it's getting everybody here. All right. Human Rights Watch Executive Director Kenneth Roth is taking a lot of flack after he suggested that the only reason behind Hungary's purchase of some 6,000 vials of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine is to curry favor with Vladimir Putin. See, this is where it becomes obvious that this is all about the Benjamins. You won't buy Russia's vaccine. You won't buy Cuba's vaccine. You will buy our vaccine and you will like it. And needless to say, of course, Human Rights Watch is funded by George Soros. Roth has run the institution for 27 years and strongly agrees with Soros on pretty much everything. Okay. Here we get into the international news, and it's getting a little bit dark out there. It is being reported, this is from Zero Hedge, it's being reported that Iran's President Rouhani is threatening Trump with assassination. The headline actually says he's accused of it. Nobody seems to have actually got it on videotape or anything, but he's being accused of it. And apparently it's being dismissed as a mistranslation of Rouhani's words while he addressed a cabinet session last Wednesday. And apparently the Washington Times quoted the Iranian president as saying Trump will soon be dead, claiming it was a clear death threat. Okay. And Iran's leaders are now saying this is typical anti-Iran bigotry designed to escalate tensions. Now, this is just a theory that I want to share with you. And I'm very concerned about what's going to happen on Wednesday when Trump is having his huge rally to present the evidence of election fraud to this multi-million man march that everybody is expecting there. I'm very worried that somebody could take a shot at Trump with Iran set up to take the blame. And there are some reasons to think this might actually be in the offing. There's an article here in the Political Insider. The U.S. military stands guard against an Iranian attack. And apparently there's concern in the U.S. military of Iran. Now, remember, about a week ago, the Pentagon ordered the aircraft carrier Nimitz out of the Gulf. And on its way home, they've now reversed it. Late yesterday, the USS Nimitz was ordered to turn around and head back to the Gulf. It's getting ugly out there. Iran is starting 20% uranium enrichment at an underground facility. And the corporate media is reporting it as they're producing weapons-grade uranium. This is not true. This is more symbolic than anything else. The original P5+1 deal called for a cap of 3.5% uranium enrichment. 20% is what you use for reactor fuel. To make bomb stuff, it's got to be over 90%. But they're already out there waving around Iran bomb, Iran bomb, Iran bomb, so forth and so on here. Over in Iraq, Iraqis converged on the Baghdad airport to remember Soleimani Mohandas on his assassination anniversary. This happened Saturday night, and apparently it was quite a crowd. The U.S. made a martyr of him with that drone strike here. And apparently these Iraqis are demanding that the United States troops pull out of Iraq. And they want the Americans to go home. So we'll see what happens there. Interesting little story. The FBI and Justice Department have declared Israel the second most aggressive nation running espionage operations against the United States. Now, the U.S. security establishment has always regarded Israel as the #1 counterintelligence threat in the Middle East. Remember this whole thing with Jonathan Pollard. Israel sold the U.S. war secrets that Pollard stole to the Soviet Union. You know, not exactly the act of a friend, I might add here. U.S. intelligence officers say Mossad is a second-rate operation. Israeli intelligence assistance is often of dubious value. CIA is appalled at the lack of quality. They often give the U.S. faulty, misleading intelligence, probably to try and trick us into dropping bombs on somebody who does not deserve to have that here. Russia is getting ready to test a missile that can fly at 15,000 miles per hour. There's absolutely no way of stopping this thing. It can beat any defense, and it carries a warhead large enough to destroy Texas. So let's not mess with Putin here. Talking about the economic news, the stock markets got hammered today. At one point, the Dow was over 500 down. So all those record gains they made last week are starting to erode away. Senator Mitch McConnell is slamming the idea of $2,000 checks for COVID relief and stimulus. He's calling it socialism for the rich people. And he says, we're borrowing from our grandkids to do socialism for rich people. And he says it's a terrible way to get help to families who actually need it. Well, I don't know. Why don't you shave a little money out of that military budget and you could take care of the American people? I mean, just honestly here. Apparently, the U.S. housing market has entered 2021 in a massive bubble, and experts are predicting a crash. And we have bread lines stretching across America. This article that came on out, what's a YouTube video actually, they're saying the economic collapse is much worse than you are being told. I absolutely agree. I heard a statistic the other day that absolutely shocked me. 35% of the American people are on some kind of welfare or food assistance program. Now, back in the Great Depression, you could see the bread lines because they had to line on up. But today it's all done with those little plastic cards. And since you don't look over the shoulder of the person in front of you in the checkout line, you don't know if they're paying with a debit card or a SNAP card or what they're doing. But 35%, I mean, that is horrendous. And it's amazing how badly mismanaged this economy and this country continue to be. Bitcoin is continuing its meteoric rise. It soared above $30,000 over the weekend, less than 3 weeks after going through 20,000. So it is really going on up there. Meanwhile, down in Argentina, they are suspending sales of corn for export until the end of February. Saying this is part of the government's effort to make sure there are ample domestic food supplies. And apparently the move by the world's number 3 corn supplier is a sign of tightening global food supplies during the COVID-19 pandemic. So you preppers, get on out there and make sure you got plenty of storable food there, because it may get ugly. All righty, we're coming up here on another commercial break. We got some more economic news here. When we come on back, we're going to open up the phone lines. We'll be right back.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stop Terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Extendivite has proven time and again it really works. Here's a testimonial from Amazon.com. I am only 40, but I have put my body through hell working in manufacturing for 20 years. I recently started to notice a buzzing feeling along with a stuttering sensation with my heart. I had a full cardio stress done, which I passed. I decided to try Extendivite after getting the jingle stuck in my head. Halfway through the bottle, I really did notice a difference. After getting home from work, I would just sit in a chair for a few hours feeling like crap, and this stuff reduced that feeling along with heart discomfort to almost nothing. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves.
Welcome back to our show here. The phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to go to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, good day to you. Like I said, Happy New Year. Make it quick, Michael. If this Warnock or this Ossoff win, I think we're in major, we're going to be in a civil war, Mike. Because I'm looking at these guys' platform, and these guys are radicals. They're full-blown radical. And they're going to allow illegals to come in here, pouring here by the millions, keep constantly going in here. The BLM's going to go off the chain. They're going to be the new, it's going to be like Venezuela. I think the United States will turn out like Venezuela. I guarantee it. And we don't stand up to this barrage, we're in big trouble. So, yeah, Mike, I don't see it happening.
You don't see which happening?
I don't see. I don't see this. I can't believe that people are that stupid. They're going to vote for these idiots. But if that happens,
I don't think they did.
Like you've been saying. Well, Mike, it's like you've been saying. Trump won this election. They stole the election from Trump. The white women, they're trying to use the white women as the ones that put Biden over the top. That's a lie. It's a filthy, low-life lie. And if the media is going to keep perpetrating the white man bad, all these leftist communist Bolsheviks, but the white women are going to go against their husbands and their brothers and their uncles and their grandfathers are going to go against them, and they're going to put communist Bolsheviks in our in these elected offices. No way, Mike. We're in a civil war. We got to go into a civil war. I hate to say that, but I see it happening. I see where I'm even at right now. And when you go to a hospital, an illegal alien gets treated way better than you will. I guarantee it. They're getting much more better care. They're getting Section 8 housing. They're getting 1% business loans that no white man can get. A white man who built this country cannot get a 1% business loan anywhere in this country, Mike. Am I lying?
No, you're not.
So, no, we're going to be in an all-out civil war if these two idiots they got are going to get in, and they're going to try to steal this election like they did with Trump. They're going to try to steal Georgia tomorrow night. Remember, I told you that, Mike.
Yes.
They may let one of those Republicans.
You know, I mean, if you look at the number of mail-in ballots that have already been received in Georgia, they're playing the same game all over again because nobody will stop them.
Exactly, Mike. And if Trump doesn't get the resurrection act you know what I'm talking about, if he doesn't do that right now for sanctuary cities and right now with this fraud and this vote, this country's in an all-out civil war. I'm talking military. I think a lot of the military guys are going to drop their arms and defend the Republic. I really do. I really do, Mike.
Okay.
I know quite a few of them, and they're fed up with this country. Oh, yeah, I know I'm right. And I tell you, Mike, it's going to be a bloody situation. You know, all these people are saying in the media, they kept real quiet about BLM, about Antifa. But when a bunch of white guys and Afro-American men and Hispanic men who are true patriots unite to take back this country, Mike, the media will call them a bunch of Nazis, racists, radicals, and you know what? It'll be a mix. It won't be all just white men.
Okay, Tom, I got to let you go. We got to take a break for station identification. Back with more phone calls after these few words.
For over 20 years now, Extendivite has proven time and again it really works. Here is a testimonial from Amazon.com. I received an arterial switch at birth. In my mid-20s, I started getting slight runs of NSVT. Nothing too serious, but enough to cause worry. I started taking Extendivite a little over 2 years ago, and it helped cut the palpitations and NSVT down drastically. This isn't a cure-all supplement. I strongly recommend a good diet and exercise to aid in any heart troubles you may be having, and I strongly recommend giving Extendivite a try. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to the show. Hour number 2. The phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to go to Al in Canada. Hello, Al. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hi, Mike. What Tom was saying, there's a lot of truth to that. It happens up here as well with these. They're usually illegal immigrants, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get treated like gold while the rest of us just get dumped on. Mitch McConnell, when he said that giving $2,000 checks to Americans would be enriching the billionaires, he admitted it. He admitted it right there that the whole monetary system is designed to filter all cash straight to the top, and
Yes.
people didn't even blink an eye. He admitted it. I don't know why this wasn't bigger news than what it really was, because there's a lot of truth in that.
Yes.
I mean, it is the truth. The whole system is designed to extract cash from the poorest people and put it right to the very top. That's how the system is designed.
Mm-hmm.
When you start creating loans at interest, the nation's currency at interest, that's exactly what happens, because only the richest people can afford to invest in anything, especially now.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. I don't understand why this wasn't even bigger news. I mean, it was out there, but everybody's looking at it from the wrong angle. It makes no sense, other than just stupid greed. The people are just thinking about themselves, going out, vandalizing Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell's houses. They don't even understand what the hell they're doing.
Well, those may have been false flags to build sympathy for McConnell and for Pelosi. It didn't work, of course, but,
No, and it's been done before. Remember that guy? I think he pulled down his pants and pumped a deuce right in front of Nancy's garage or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
A little while ago, I don't know, 6-7 months ago or something.
Something
That was
like
funny.
that.
Yeah, but and anyway, all he did was just admitted that the monetary system is designed to enrich the few. That's
Yes.
all he did. And, and I'm just starting now to get to feel normal again. I called last week, about a week ago, and I figured I had COVID. I never went to the hospital to get tested because I ain't that stupid, and I don't use a cell phone because I don't want these people tracking me and all this crap. But I'm pretty sure I had it, and it was like a flu and a cold combined.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of symptoms of both of them. And now, I'm basically, the phlegm in the nose and the lungs, right, starting to come up and break up and all that jazz. So, I mean, I'm in my 50s, so, I mean, it's not that bad. It's just...
No, it isn't. I mean, looking at my doctor's family, because they all got it, the kids showed no symptoms at all. The adults, the parents, were sick for maybe 2 days. And my mother-in-law, who's in her 80s, was sick for maybe 4 days, but she's doing a lot better.
Yeah, like as far as being, I don't know, like what people just, think sick is. For me, I mean, I'm not going to be normal again for probably about 2 weeks as all this phlegm starts to work its way out of my body. But I know, up here in Canada, masks have been mandatory for a long time. When you walk into, we're in lockdown now, but when you walk into these places, you're supposed to sanitize your hands, but most people don't.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're idiots because they're spreading it. It should be mandatory. And on top of that, what do they do after? They pull out their cell phones, and every orifice on their body is on that cell phone because their fingers have been on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is why this is out of control. This is why it's not because of masks. It's because of people touching everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that's how this is all being spread. And the cell phone is, I mean, I see it because I don't use one. So I see this stuff all the time. And I've been working in the food industry as a millwright for 13 years. So I see all this stuff. I'm really attuned to it. Mike, I've actually seen people, and I'm not kidding here, at a major bread manufacturing plant go underneath the bars to get away from having to wash and sanitize their hands because you have to go through turnstiles and they pump the stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it even happens up at these places, these food plants. It's disgusting. And, we're disgusting people. I mean, we'd like to point fingers at everybody and say it's their fault and their fault. No. Look in the mirror. That's whose fault it is. And that's where it all lies. It's a crummy planet, and it's not going to get much better. And, I'm still a little miserable because I'm not feeling as good as I used to. But those are my 2 cents. Tom, you're dead on the money with what you were saying. Thanks a lot, Mike. I appreciate your time.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to go to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Say, I just want to agree with that guy before from Canada. People are too much germaphobes. You need germs. We live with germs. And the more we get used to germs, the better our bodies deal with it. It's part of the immune system. It's a very important part. And sanitizing your hands is one of the worst things you can do. I see people doing this all the time. You're in a store or something like that. They put all that stuff, that's antibacterial stuff. It actually kills your good bacteria and opens you up actually to more disease, not less. That's not the right thing to do. George Carlin made a great video about that. I watched it and I shared it with people about the importance of germs. He made it clear when he was a kid, they used to swim in sewage. That was the Hudson River at the time.
Yes.
Hudson and the East River were basically sewage, sewage dumps. And he used to swim, and he said they were protected by SHIT.
Yeah.
He said, that when he had a polio, it was in the 40s, they had a polio epidemic. That nobody in his neighborhood got got polio because they were immune from it because of all the SHIT they swim in. So, that's not necessarily true what this guy said. People are too much germaphobes. And that's actually, you need germs because we're made up of, bacteria, viruses, and all this other stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to say what I think is going to happen with Trump now. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of evidence shown now, really, and they can't hide it anymore because I think the mainstream media probably will be covering this. Certainly C-SPAN will.
I don't think so.
Covering it.
I don't think so.
More,
they've got the perfect out. They're going to be covering the joint session of Congress where the electoral votes are counted, and it will be very boring television, but it gives them an excuse not to. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near Trump's presentation of the evidence. It's going to be up to the independent media to cover this, which is why I mentioned before, John Stadmiller is on his way to Washington, D.C. right now.
Well, I think both are going to cover it. I really do. I think even part of the mainstream media will cover it, like C-SPAN, okay? Not all of it. Fox probably will cover it because Fox is in such trouble now with their own audience. I think they've lost half their audience already. So
Something like that.
If I had to
Yep.
guess, but anyway, so much evidence is going to come out. But I think these gutless swine who sit in the Senate and the House are still going to, get the electoral votes to. They're not going to cancel out these swing states. Trump's
No, I
next
don't
step,
think they
believe,
are. I mean, there aren't enough representatives or senators who are going to contest the electors. There's not enough of them to force a debate and a vote.
Okay. At that point, I believe Trump's next step is to finally declare the Insurrection Act. He's going to declare some kind of a partial martial law, and he will probably order a new election, probably just in the swing states themselves, with no, mail-in ballots, no, and all by paper. All right, he's not going to,
no computer.
He'll also probably subpoena those computers himself. He doesn't need Attorney General to do that. He's a chief executive. He can actually act as Attorney General, and he'll probably have the military behind him to do a lot of this stuff because he can't count on the FBI and whatever else.
No.
And as far as them trying to get out of the White House, the only way he can do this, by the way, if he has the rank and file and the military behind him, and I believe he already does. I think he's worked that out with Secretary Miller. So I think that, he is going to have to use them as his federal agents. He cannot, as a matter of fact, I think a lot of the FBI and CIA have to be locked up themselves. These are criminals. These are criminal agencies. FBI has been a criminal agency pretty much since the cross-dresser that started them.
Yes.
Was back in the 20s, I think. And actually, I think in the 70s or 80s, Whitey Bulger was actually running a large part of the FBI out of Boston. He was actually the director for all intents and purposes. So, the gangster, you know what I mean? And I think that some of them are going to have to be arrested, and I believe they will. He will order new elections for those swing states and go by what happens there. I don't think it's going to be a total martial law of the whole country, unless the country goes crazy, which is possible. But one more thing, let's just pray that nothing happens to Donald Trump on Wednesday, okay? Like we were saying about somebody might take a shot or something like that at him, okay? Because the people are not that stupid anymore, okay? They were going to believe that Iran did it. They'll know the deep state is behind it. And God help them if they do, because you're going to millions of people there in Washington. You talk about a civil war, it could be on right there and then if they do something to him, because people are not going to tolerate this. Like I said, I have a lot of problems with Trump. I consider him the president. I believe he's illegal. He won that election fair and square, and he won it by a landslide. And this is a theft. And it's an attack not just on Trump. It's an attack on the United States of America. It's an attack on everybody's free right to have a vote that's not tampered with. Okay, that's what this is. And I believe that, like I said, I believe that the biggest mistake they could make, the deep state, if something happens to Trump on Wednesday, all right, that would trigger something off, something like they would have never seen in this country before. Even the riots after Martin Luther King was murdered will pale in comparison to this.
Yes.
I mean, it would be monumental. So let's just pray and hope for his safety, and nothing like that happens, because this country is tense enough as it is. We're on pins and needles. And one other thing too, even if Biden gets in there on the 20th, he will be so watered down, especially with the evidence coming out, that he won't be able to do anything. If he tries, he's going to be stopped. He's going to be like basically a caretaker. On top of that, the guy's basically a zombie anyway.
Yeah.
And Harris won't be
he's a figurehead and a placeholder for Kamala Harris.
Yeah, and she won't be able to do anything either, because if, let's say, they impeach Biden or they use the 25th Amendment for it, it'll be obvious why. The woman has no support. She got like less than 1% in the primary, so I don't think she's going to be able to do too much either. We can be thankful for that, okay? Because these people are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like them. I know what they want to come after. They want to attack the Constitution. If they could, they'd force a needle into people's arms, okay? And if they could, they'll make us wear masks all over the place. I had a run-in today again in the store about a mask. This time, some guy in front of me in the line, I wasn't wearing it right. So he started saying, "Would you please put on your..." I said, "Why? Why do you have your stupid mask on?" I said, "You see this family over there right in front of us? Nobody's even got a mask on." "Well, but you're behind." I said, "So what? So get out of the way then. Let me go first, you know?" He tells me he's a doctor, and I said, "I don't care if you're a doctor. I follow that. I know what's the truth about the mask, and I don't know the truth about the phony COVID that's going on too. All right? It's all phony. All this. By the way, that thing what the guy was saying about the flu and COVID and all, of course it's the flu.
Yes.
Of course they're taking the flu and saying it's COVID. It's obvious that that's happening. And a flu, by the way, is really a cold. It's a bad cold. That's why it's not a combination of flu and a cold. The flu is I believe, a coronavirus in its own, and it's basically a bad cold.
Yes.
Same symptoms except worse. It knocks you out. Really not. Last time I had a flu was over 20 years ago. I had 103.9 fever, and I was knocked out for about 2 days, and then I was fine. Yep. That's the way it goes. That's the way the immune system's supposed to kick in. But don't weaken it by taking this vaccines like this. Horrible. Okay? And don't keep on sanitizing your hands either. Wash them, yes, with a good soap, but don't use that type of antibacterial soap. It's terrible. It just weakens your system. That's all it does. It kills the good bacteria. And take your vitamins and eat your fresh fruits and vegetables. That's all. Get plenty of vitamin D, get plenty of sunshine, and you'll be fine. All right, Mike, that's it, all right? I know you got other callers.
Okay, well, thanks an awful lot. And we're going to go to Don in Arizona. Hello, Don. Thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. You're on the air.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. This hand sanitizer is like masks. It's for extreme emergencies, and it's bad for you. It's dangerous. It's toxic. That stuff will get in your stomach. If you get it on your hands, that stuff is so greasy it just stays on your hands like forever. You're going to eat some food, and some of that stuff is going to get in your stomach, and that's not good for you, And that's just the way it is. And I try to avoid that stuff if I possibly can. Wiping all this stuff down, it's been another thing that's been shown in some of these studies is wiping stuff down all the time doesn't do anybody any good. This is a cold virus. It might not even exist at all. And I don't even consider it anything for me to, I don't even consider it anything I'm even worried about except for the fact that some places want you to wear a mask. But as far as the sickness itself, it's up to you whether you're going to get sick or not. You take care of yourself. Now, on this other thing, this presidential election, Pence, it's my understanding Pence can just say he has the constitutional authority to say this is in dispute and send it to the House of Representatives. If it's at the House of Representatives, every state gets one vote, and is all.
Yes.
Every state gets one vote, so it's not the number of representatives; it's the number of Republican states, and there's more Republican states than there is Democratic states. So Pence could actually give the thing to Trump if he wanted to. Now they would challenge probably in the Supreme Court, maybe, but by the Constitution, it's my understanding. Now this is something that different people say different stuff, and since we don't actually have an authentic news media, anymore, it's all propaganda. Except for you try to find some people that actually know what the deal is, but it's not going to be any of the TV stations or anything. So but that's my understanding is the way it is. But Pence is probably not going to do that, from what I've heard. But he should. He could.
I
Why
think,
wouldn't he? He'd stay in office another 4 years. What's he afraid of? Huh?
I think Pence
What's he afraid
of? I don't know. Maybe he's got his own Jeffrey Epstein videotape.
Yeah, it might be. Okay, well, it's hard to get to the bottom of what actually can happen and what's not going to happen and everything. But That's my understanding of it. They're going to vote, and by the votes, if Pence goes along with the votes, but they say that Pence doesn't have to go along because actually these disputed states have two different sets of electors. He can choose the
Correct.
Republican electors, and that's all there is to it. Right?
Yep.
It's complicated, Mike. It's
It
pretty
is complicated, but we may be in a situation where, Biden is inaugurated as president, and then after that, it becomes, absolutely proven the election was fraudulent. That would provoke a constitutional crisis.
That's right. They got to get it straight right now in the next couple of weeks. Okay, I'll let you go. Thanks, Mike. Bye.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to take a break for commercials, and we'll be back with more phone calls.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Politicians and preachers once sometimes told the truth. We didn't throw war's first stone and sacrifice our finest youth. With no video games or cell phones, a house felt like a home. Children fought and played together and stick up on a computer alone.
Welcome back to our show here, and we're going to go back to the phone to Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I say that with some trepidation.
Could hardly be worse than the last one.
Yeah. Mark from North Carolina really beat me to the punch with the comment about George Carlin. If you've ever heard that routine on germs, that's 9 of the funniest minutes in all of his routines.
Yes.
And it's all very true. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend that you look it up on YouTube and just look at George Carlin germs. Around Austin, Texas, every year at this time of the year, the mountain juniper blooms and it spreads this horrendous pollen all over the place. And if you've ever had a reaction to that, it's called cedar fever. It's the worst thing you've ever felt. And apparently, the symptoms of that are a lot like the symptoms of COVID, only worse. This year I've not had it, but there are a lot of people running around now here probably thinking, oh, you got COVID. No, you got cedar fever. Look at the pollen count in this town, damn it. The last thing I want to tell you is that I fully expect this country to fracture.
I agree.
We're really at a point at which I don't think we're going to be able to resolve this matter, this blatant theft of the election and the attempt of Democrats to try to subjugate the United States to the damn communist Chinese. We're not going to be able to resolve that. And I fully expect what's going to happen after the 6th is you're going to see violent reactions one way or the other. And frankly, I think it'll be a good thing. I really do. We can't go along in a situation where we are consistently expected to give up our values because the damn left wing wants to drag us further and further to the left. It's obvious that Biden and his people have stolen this election, and we've got to stop it. And if it means resorting to violence, we'll have to do that.
Well,
you
know, it's a sad thing to contemplate, a new civil war. I would almost say that, the balkanization of the nation might be preferable. I'm seeing 3 pieces. The East Coast liberals have their own nation, the West Coast liberals have their own nation, and the heartland of America, which is conservative, becomes its own nation as well.
I think that's probably the most reasonable solution.
Getting
there is another matter, but I think that's the most reasonable solution. I don't see that we have much in common here in Texas with culture along the West Coast.
No.
And I don't think we have much in common with the ultra-liberal states along the East Coast. And that creates problems for states like Georgia.
Yes.
Which has got, I think, traitors in the office of the Secretary of State and the government, and who are allowing overt, fraudulent election practices in their state in order to be able to push this thing towards the Democrats. If you allow that to happen, you're just giving things away.
Yeah.
If it means the Georgians have to drag Kemp out of his office and hang him, the Secretary of State, Stacey Abrams, they are going to have to do it. I'm sorry. There's no peaceful resolution to this matter right now. There's none.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. I don't see any way we can continue on this path. I don't see any peaceful resolution. Basically, the peaceful resolutions have been blocked off at every turn with the court system being corrupt. And as John F. Kennedy used to say, when peaceful revolution becomes impossible, violent revolution becomes inevitable. And unfortunately, I think we're at that crossroads.
Well, I agree with you. I think we're there. And I expect it to blow up very soon. Anyway, you're in a good state.
Yes.
Indiana is a gun-friendly state.
Yes, it is.
And there are many very loyal Americans there. So I think you're in a good place. I'm in a good place here in Texas, except for the fact that I live here in Austin, Texas, as we used to call it Moscow in the Colorado. But there are many other states I think they're just going to balk at having Joe Biden an obvious stooge to the Chinese government.
Yes.
In office. And especially if the thugs in Georgia are able to push through Warnock and Ossoff. We can't allow that.
We'll find out tomorrow, but I'm predicting the Democrats are going to steal those 2 Senate seats the way they stole the whole election. And I think the massive number of mail-in ballots is a dead giveaway what's going to happen.
Well, you're probably right. And that's going to be a time for Georgia Patriots to step up and say, no, we're not allowing this. Okay, Mike, I know other people want to chime in, so let me bag out and please move on to someone else.
All right. Well, thank you. Actually, we're coming up on a commercial break, and rather than start another call, getting back to some economic news here. Apparently, China is starting to produce a 350 kilometer per hour freight train. It's electrically powered, and apparently the first one rolled off the assembly line last week. And this shows why the United States wants to make war on China, because we simply cannot compete with them economically and in engineering. We'll be right back with more, with more phone calls.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through healthyworldstore.com.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Amazon customer. It's amazing. I just ordered my second bottle. In 1 month, my blood pressure dropped significantly. I no longer get chest pain after I exercise. The reviews are spot on. My target is to get off of BP meds, and if it keeps going like this, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Amazon customer. Extendivite works great. This product has made my blood pressure and cholesterol stable. I highly recommend it. Amazon customer. Excellent herbal formula. I've been using it to keep my cardiovascular system fine-tuned. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go right back to the phone to Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Mike. Happy New Year's. First time I've talked to you since the New Year and declared to. Hey, I just want to recount from point out from Mark the resurrection of a great word that's totally underutilized, but there's a target-rich environment for it nowadays, and that's the great word swine.
Yes.
There certainly are a lot of swine out there. And speaking of that, I think you were dead on that when Trump presents his evidence that the networks and the mainstream corporate media, the propaganda, fake news, will find every single reason they can to not look towards that and look somewhere else.
Yep.
When Don in Arizona was talking about Pence, yeah, Pence has a shot at it, and I have zero confidence in Pence. You know, it's the old carrot and stick thing. Against him are arrayed a bunch of Jewish media billionaires, the bankers who can print money out of nothing, and the secret police. And so he can quietly collect by just doing nothing, collect generational wealth from these guys who, you know, geez, look, Bloomberg spent, you know, like $400 million just in Florida, you know, just by looking the other way. And if he doesn't look the other way and he has more intestinal fortitude than anybody has any reason to expect he would, frankly, then they can, there's the stick. The stick is the kill squads from the CIA and the FBI, or the media telling everybody from here on out that he is the death of democracy and blah, blah, blah. And,
well, they're already calling him that.
Dox him and, and dox him and set the Black Lives Matter mobs against him in his front yards. And so are we going to get any succor from Pence? And my answer to that is like an emphatic no.
Yes,
correct. I want to point something out, Mike. You remember about 2 years ago, Dick's Sporting Goods, in one of their politically correct eruptions, decided to do away with selling anything to do with firearms.
Yes, I remember that.
I've never been to a Dick's Sporting Goods, but I had a conversation with a friend last night. We were both talking about how, even though we've never been to one, we never will go to a Dick's Sporting Goods. And we're asking ourselves, well, why would they do that? Because the only reason I would have gone into a Dick's Sporting Goods maybe was to go to their firearms section or something, and then maybe go over to their tents. That would have been the lure to get me, and probably a lot of other people. And by the way, firearms are selling pretty well, aren't they?
Oh, they can't keep them in stock. Same thing with ammunition. You know, it's, you know, they're unloading that stuff from the trucks into the hands of the customers.
Yeah, exactly. And so here they make a decision against the consumer and even against their own stockholders, frankly.
Yes,
and then,
they did.
So I looked up last night as to who owns Dick's Sporting Goods. And guess who owns them?
Please enlighten us.
The shareholders are BlackRock Capital. I know you know who they are.
Yes.
And another fellow Federal Reserve creation, Vanguard Capital. So here the people that are financing and own Dick's are willing to take an enormous dump to the stock because a very profitable segment went away.
Yes.
In order to further their agenda. And whose agenda is it? It's the banks. The banks want us disarmed. But other than that, Mike, I think that everybody is very, very right in saying that at this point, everything from the media to the Supreme Court to the state legislatures, the state governors, the Republican Party to a very large extent, certainly the Democratic Party, the villainous Democratic Party, the secret police, all of our institutions are arrayed against us.
Yes.
And I agree with Kelly and Mark, everybody else. The only way we're going to get this is, frankly, we're going to have to roll our sleeves up and fight for it. And all our institutions have been suborned by the same people, right, that can print all the money, and the same reason why Pence isn't going to come out. You know, the media and the big money. So that's it. We're going to have to fight for it. And let's remember who our enemies are. And it's not the Chinese.
No.
The Chinese are just following, by the way, what the Israelis have done forever. Only the Israelis have a fifth column that can make it work a lot better. But the Chinese don't. So it's a pale imitation of the way the Israelis and the
Well,
Jewish
the
lobbyists
deep state is
like
desperate.
Stradivarius.
They're desperate to distract us all from the stolen election by trying to, gin up new enemies for us to be terrified of, whether it's China or Russia or Iran or who knows. Next it'll be Monaco as the enemy. Or Canada.
And I have no doubt that China has bought this. There is no doubt China has bought Biden, but geez, Biden was bought long before China by Israel. Listen, they set the model. The model was you can buy, Israel said it, you can buy off anything in the United States with money if you have the media behind you. And everybody else has followed suit. They just don't have the fifth column to take it as far into it as the Israelis do. But that's it. Our guys are completely out, but you can start with Israel and start with the Israel lobby. And then go, yeah, sure, China, yeah, damn right, they own Pence, and they own Biden, and they own everybody. Of course they do, but
they don't own me.
The model has been going on for 70 years with Israel. They're just following that model and doing it very successfully.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get rid of all that stuff. The media will never enlighten us to that, so it will go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
So. Anyways, Mike, by the way, sorry to see that Indiana, the University of, lost a close game to Mississippi. Sorry to see that on New Year's Day. And, but my Buckeyes, they're going to the national championship. So, anyways, listen, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm signing off here.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to Pat in Fort Worth. Hello, Pat. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I wanted to say that there's a news station called N like Nancy, T like Tommy, D like dog. They're telling everything going on in Georgia. They got the sworn witnesses testifying, and you can't. How can you have an election for those two senators, which we need very bad? In Georgia, if you're going to use the same old machines that they used before, it's really. I mean, and do you know? I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but I told it early this morning. So if anybody's up, I guess they heard it. But do you know that Trump issued an executive order on 5/11/17? It's called the Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity.
Yes, I remember that.
Well, why isn't anybody talking about it? That was 2.5 years ago.
Well, what happened was the commission was set up, and every state they went into, they ran into severe resistance from the election supervisors, and they were lawyers were saying it's a states' rights issue.
Wait a minute. I want to know what it says. It's a PDF file, and I was kind of surprised I could find it, but I did, and I haven't read it yet. So I was hoping that somebody out there cared and they would read it, because everybody's home, they're not working right. Well, anyway, that's going on, and that may be very important, because he is talking like everybody who's complicit in this voter fraud. First of all, it's a crime. It's at least a felony. They will have to lose all their possessions to the U.S. government, because it amounts to treason. Okay.
Well, there was actually a Supreme Court decision. It was a unanimous verdict that ruled that presidential elections are federal elections, and therefore, had Trump moved forward with his Election Integrity Commission, he could have mandated that the states handle at least the presidential portion of the election according to standards set by the federal government. And it was a big fight. And, when Trump basically gave up on that and turned election integrity over to the Department of Homeland Security, and all they did was go on out and say, well, we think these computers are secure.
See, they could appoint each state. If anybody, see, I keep saying we're responsible for our state. If we don't call our senators right now, we have one that we don't know about in Texas. If we don't, each state doesn't call their senator and tell them that they want this thing to be investigated for the good of the whole country, for good of even their own elections, the senators and the reps, that we can't have this kind of voter fraud going on. And they got 4 new senators, and they are going along with Cruz, and he's got only 11 people. But, I think everybody who doesn't want, who's going to make everybody call them and tell them that we don't want to see election fraud, they need to be investigated, too, about where they got their money. I do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we know a lot of it came from people like George Soros and, the social media companies out in California were donating huge amounts of money to the Democratic vote effort, as it were. It was definitely crooked. And, you might want to go back and look at a little bit of history called the Battle of Athens, Tennessee, which was a minor armed insurrection regarding vote fraud.
Okay. Well, that's good information. But they fall back on that Mike Pence, when he is there doing the vote counting, he has no authority to decide to choose a state or not. That is all just ceremonial. Well, I don't think that's true. And they said, well, Biden, when he was
does have options under the Constitution, whether he's going to exercise them or not. I seriously doubt it. I don't think Pence has the strength to do it. And I think probably Pence is just as compromised as anybody else in that chamber.
Well, I know that they bragged that when Biden was vice president and it was challenged, and he had to give up. He just said, "Well, it was right," and he gave up because if he'd actually challenged it, you know what would have happened? They would have found out a lot sooner about this here Dominion and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He was afraid. He was afraid to say anything. He just got the heck out.
Well,
and, okay,
it's not that he's afraid. We're talking about the beneficiaries of the massive election fraud. They're not going to want that to go away. They're going to be relying on it to hold on to power, hold on to their office. And so, they're not going to kill the goose that's laying the golden ballot.
You mean they don't want the electronic fake voting machines to go on? They want that to go on?
No, they don't want them to go away. They want to keep things exactly the way they are so they can go on stealing elections and ignore the will of the American people here. I've got a new slogan for Dominion voting machines that they ought to put in their marketing. We guarantee the results.
Okay. Well, they did. That's more or less what he said. He said, "Don't worry about me winning. Don't campaign for me."
Yeah, he made all these bogus statements. He didn't campaign. He said, "Don't vote for me. I don't need you to win this election." He was telling the truth all along.
That's right. But I guess he figured that so many people are compromised, he's got it made. But he didn't know how many people out here are ready to be like our original people who got our country and our Constitution, walking around in ice at Christmas. Hey, come on. People are ready to die for the country again, okay?
Yeah.
And they're not going to back down. All those people who are coming out and telling what they saw, they need prayer. And well, tell your wife to pray, okay? We need prayer for Trump to win, because if he does, he's going to clear up all this crap. He will.
Well, I certainly
be good
hope
for
so,
everybody.
but I've got to admit, his first 4 years in office, he was a major disappointment, especially on the Election Integrity Commission.
Well, that's because y'all don't know what happened. You have to go to certain places. There are people who could talk for 2 hours on things that he's done.
Yes.
But he I mean, you know, when Hillary Clinton made a speech like Trump, she always got like $200,000 or $300,000 for it. He doesn't get anything.
That's true.
Donations from us out here. Yeah. So, man, you ought to look at what Hillary did. And they let her get by with
I
it.
paid close attention to Hillary over the years for personal reasons.
Well, I'm just saying that people are tired. They don't want to give up the country. And,
No.
and I believe they'll take their life in their hands. But I don't say, well, it's time to go shooting. No, this is a nation of laws. We still have the Constitution. We fought for it for a long time. They tried to take it 30, 40 years ago. They tried to get rid of it and still trying. Mark Levine, rather, he wants a new convention of states. It's nothing but a constitutional convention. If you want new amendments, why don't you consider that every amendment already been violated? I mean, trial by jury. Ask the other people, do you really think you get an honest trial by jury because you don't act locally and you'll get an appointed judge who'll take away all your rights and you can't vote for them? So we have lost. All our amendments have been violated. Why do we need any new amendments?
No,
why
they're
new
going after the First Amendment. I mean, you know, all the hotels, the mayor of Washington, D.C. has ordered all the hotels and restaurants and convenience stores to close for, well, basically today, tomorrow, and Wednesday to try and discourage Trump supporters from coming to the city. To me, that's an infringement of our right to peacefully assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances. And so, anyway, listen, Pat, I got to let you go. We're getting close to the end of the show, and I got a bunch of calls to get through. So we're going to switch over to Edward in Boston. Hello, Edward. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. One quick question.
Yeah.
Did Fort Detrick close down in 2019?
Apparently they ceased certain operations, but I think the facility is still open.
Yeah. Well, I find the timing suspicious.
Yes.
I think COVID came from there. So did the 9/11 anthrax
Yes.
scare. Remember that?
I remember that.
And I don't know. Yeah. I don't think it came from Wuhan. That's just more China blaming.
Yes.
But something to think about.
Yes.
And that's my question.
Okay, well, I'll take a look into it. I know that they did shut down certain BSL-4 operations there, and you're right. The timing is a little bit curious.
Yes, and there were a few leaks reported through the years.
Yes.
Of biohazard material. Just something to think about.
I will. I'll think about it. Thank you for the phone call, and we're going to switch over to Jim in Boston. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, I was just thinking the cure to COVID is cut off the damn money.
Yes.
Whoever's paying these hospitals all this money, if they stop paying them, I'll bet you COVID would disappear in a heartbeat.
Yeah, if they couldn't make money off of it, we wouldn't see those diagnoses. I mean, the fact that they were being incentivized to declare cases COVID, they were being financially incentivized to get people onto ventilators. I mean, this whole thing was just stage managed right from the very beginning.
Well, who exactly is giving them the money?
The government.
You mean our money is going to...
Yes, it's our money.
Government doesn't create money. I mean, they create money, but they don't.
Well, the Federal Reserve creates the money. The government creates debt and then dumps it on you.
Right. So we're actually paying for all this ourselves.
Ultimately, yes.
Well, I wonder if Trump could just say, hey, we're not paying for this anymore.
Well, it would be nice. But, I think we overestimate Trump's total awareness of what's going on around him. He's surrounded by staffers who are acting as filters, and they probably only allow things to reach Trump that serves their particular agenda. And, you know, if you go back to the legend of King Arthur and Merlin the magician, Merlin served an important purpose in that he could step out of the court and go mingle among the common people and find out what was really going on and bring it back to King Arthur. And Trump doesn't have a Merlin, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seems you're right. Well, maybe there's a new office they can elect you to.
Yeah, well, you know, the media that stumped for the Democrats is seeing a huge loss of revenue and a loss of customers. And there's all these new startup companies for video streaming and social media. I'm hanging out at parlay.com these days. And, you know, they really shafted their own business plan. They shafted their own investors and stockholders in their rush to get Biden into the White House. Anyway, Jim, thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go, and we're going to switch over to Ryan in Cleveland. Ryan, thank you for waiting so patiently. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was thinking about this 12th Amendment, so I just wrote this up thinking, tell me if you agree, disagree, or if you're indifferent. Here, this is what I wrote. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. John Adams.
Yes.
Mike Pence, being a moral and religious person, cannot confirm an immoral electorals of 7 states. This is constitutional.
Well, I agree in principle, but I don't think Pence is going to do it because he has higher considerations, priorities, influences than his religion. And certainly, I think anybody who's gone into politics, we should not assume that they really have much of a sense of morality.
I agree. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a happy new year. Getting on back to the news, we're coming up on the end of the program here. This is very scary. This came out of ABBA Journal, and they're talking about a lawyer from the U.S. Department of Justice who argued a week ago that the United States can kill its own citizens without judicial review when litigation would reveal state secrets. This is a license to kill. Now, the argument drew alarm among judges on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, but Judge Patricia Millett characterized the Department of Justice argument as giving the government the ability to unilaterally decide to kill U.S. citizens. And what an extraordinary proposition that is, but that does seem to be the direction that we're going. All righty. Now, here's a couple of real fast stories here. Woman is killed and 3 off-duty police officers working security are wounded in a shooting at a Houston nightclub. Then there is another story about how 8 people were shot, 6 in critical condition after an unprovoked attack by 2 gunmen at a basketball court in Miami. And these are just 2 of a whole slew of sudden stories about shootings out there. And I'm wondering if this sudden surge in shootings is intended to manufacture consent for a gun ban, since nobody is going to fall for the mass shooter hoax anymore. So they're going to stage small shootings all over and say, see, you cannot be trusted with weapons. And apparently the Democratic Party is already proposing mandatory confiscation of everything they deem to be an assault weapon. And it's getting really scary out there. Okay, so we're pretty much at the end of the show. There's the music here. Steve Elkins is taking over from John, who's on his way to Washington, D.C. He has a guest, Orlean Kurla, discussing the California calamity and her new book on COVID. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. It is very important. Have yourself a good, happy new year and a good evening, and we'll be back tomorrow.